Hi there, welcome to the Carr Brothers Show. It's episode 127. I'm Jack.
And I'm Jeff.
And I'm Jody, the third of the three Carr Brothers. And I'm so excited that we're here again this week with all of you. Yeah, no, it's just great to have you. We're on our Facebook page live. We're on YouTube, your favorite podcaster. Also, because CHCO TV, everyone knows we're on CHCO TV, and just really fresh the last couple of weeks on every household in New Brunswick that has cable. So that's
big deal.
Every provider.
Yeah. Huge. Yeah, very
huge.
So, guys, a lot of things happened over the last week. Remembrance Day happened. Trump named some cabinet members, I guess you call them. And then locally here, we've had a lot of fun things happen and go on. And the weather's changing. Get a little cooler, not bad. But
hockey season.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of hockey.
Thick of it.
Speaking of hockey, yeah, we'll do a little recap of how our weeks has been going. Well, this week we had hockey, Jeff.
Yes.
You joined us back on the
Tuesday night pickup in Fredericton Junction.
And
that's right. A lot of fun.
You did it earlier and took a few years off and to do curling, I think, and then now you're back this season.
Well, I haven't really until 2 weeks ago. I hadn't been on the ice since 2018. Oh, yeah. And I played in an old-timers league then. We thought that we were really good players, but I stopped in the fall of 2018 because I went in the cabinet. And then
it was a conflict of interest.
It's not a conflict of interest. It's just like I saw how in the past other cabinet ministers had played in the league, and they're a lot nicer than me on the ice. So I just didn't think that it would be a good fit for a cabinet minister on the ice, retaliating and get in the penalty box.
Well, you certainly get in the corners, and
I took some time off. But then COVID came in 2020, so nobody could play again, and then I decided this year I would go back and have some fun on Tuesday nights.
So your first Tuesday night was this week?
Last week? A few weeks ago.
Okay. So, and it was highly anticipated, I know. Yeah. And Jack, you've been playing out at this... I've been playing for about 13 years.
Wow.
13 years. I know. And it's... Where has the time gone?
You can tell, too. Like, he's really improved.
Thank you.
A lot.
Because... it's been a while, probably, Jeff, since you've seen him play like in a full game like that. Last Christmas. But besides that,
really under a real pressure cooker game, pickup game,
the clock winding down.
Yeah, that's right.
But no, I started. Troy Butler, he coordinates every Tuesday night at the Tri-County Complex in Fredericton Junction. So it's the same. Well, each season it sort of changes a little bit. People step down and don't continue, but it's the same 30 people on the list and. Whoever shows up, usually it's about 20. And then he'll divvy up the teams to try to make them even. And
2 lines per team usually, and 2 goalies. And last night was really good. Nobody scored until 10 or 15 minutes left of the whole hour, and then it ended up 3-2, I think it was. So it was fun.
Yeah, and there's no hitting, no slap shots. Generally, there's none.
No referees.
And it's just excellent. So I started about 13 years ago. I was the MLA for the area. And I guess I did, how it all happened is I did like a charity game with the junior team and the ladies team. Well, I ended up getting recruited by the ladies team because we didn't grow up playing hockey, organized hockey. Jeff did. We didn't.
Yeah.
Only the oldest one got to play.
Right.
Well, when you're twins, it's double the amount. Yes. But a little harder. Yeah. We probably are.
I really didn't even get to play that much.
You didn't either. No.
But enough.
Yeah, enough. Like you're pretty good.
Enough to understand how to... I'll tell you, I gained a lot of my skills from coaching.
Oh, yeah?
Really. Coaching kids and understanding systems.
Or listening to the other coaches.
Listen to the other coaches and... listen to parent systems. But I felt like that's where I gained a lot of my knowledge of the game was through the coaching courses, coaching kids on the ice, and you understand, this is what a breakout is. When you get on the ice and you're under that pressure, sometimes you don't.
It's a little different.
Remember what a breakout is.
Brain memory's not.
You get lazy too on the ice if you're tired.
Yeah. How are you guys doing with your goals? Well, I've got 2 goals. I've got 2 goals.
What? Already this year?
Already, and I don't mind bragging about it.
I haven't seen either of them.
So where were you on the ice?
Well, Jeff wasn't there, I guess.
It was a couple weeks ago. He was only on certain days.
I don't have any goals.
Out of the 30, I would say, I'd admit it, I'm probably like... I'm right around the 29-30.
Stop the gross. Pretty fast.
There's some good players. Oh, really? Yeah. That's why they keep talking so highly of you, Jack. Jeff, not as much because he hasn't been playing, but over the years, the beauty of it is I improved every year, and I'm still improving. Not as much of a, I'm But you're plateauing and love it, and the
Your
camaraderie.
skating skills have improved a lot. Your skating skills.
I know, and I've got some video from that charity.
The charity game we did at the Soldiers Arena there, the three of us were in it.
Not that one, but the first one I did with the ladies in junior B.
The Cougars.
Yeah. And I couldn't stop very well. I couldn't go backwards very well. Could only go one way. Couldn't even receive the puck much, the hand-eye coordination. Anyway, that was this week. And then, Jeff, last night, or the other night there when we played, you had quite a tumble.
Yeah, so I have to, still got to calibrate what my brain tells my skates to do.
Okay.
And my feet. So there's work to do there yet. But I did some kind of a pirouette, landed on my chest.
Texas tornado spin there.
Oh, yeah. I was going in with the puck and decided to go around the right side. I had the D-man beat, I think, and then everything just kind of went in a little bit of a hurricane. Hurricane Helene there in Fredericton Junction.
And your legs just went this way.
In the air, and when I landed on my chest, my face felt like it was that far from the ice. Like it didn't hit, but close. Took a few minutes to get up and shake it off.
We would have to carry you over to the health center, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, Dr. Richards. Oh, yeah, I remember the time.
Well, one of the doctors plays with us. He wasn't there last night, so unfortunately, we didn't need him.
No.
Fortunately, I guess.
Well, we didn't have the doctor or the vet.
Right, the vet wasn't there either.
And someone told me when I was one time, one of the teammates, I said, "Oh yeah, and the vet's not here either." And he said, "Yeah, I talked to the vet one time, and he said, what are we going to do? You're here anyway. We don't have the doctor." I said, "What do you expect me to do? You know, neuter you?" Anyway, it was funny. Just a great time. Good people. Now, Jody, what's your connection with local hockey?
Yeah, what do you
God, what I'm thinking is I should be out live broadcasting your games. I do the live broadcast feed. You're the director. I'm the director of the production for producer for Arm Up to High School boys hockey, and this is my second year. And I partner with Rod Tadlock, who's the voice of the Arm Up to High School Blues team. He does the play-by-play on air, and then I do the production of the cameras, the video,
streamline it,
stream it up online. I do the replays, the graphics. What really bugged me, and still does over the years, is when you're trying to watch live stream, there's no score. Right. You don't know what time, and everyone's typing in, what's the score, or where is this? Well, then those that do have the score, very often it's called Score Cam app, and it's all like that's all you see. You still can't read it. So I offered to help out. So my nephews play on the team this year and last year, and the Barkers, and he's an assistant captain this year. So, anyways, we've had a few games in preseason. First game is actually
this week
as we're speaking, and. First official home opener in Ormocto. But anyway, it's been fun. Getting a lot of comments, especially from grandparents who are all over the North America, really watching their players play, and they get to watch.
And what do you love the most about it?
I love the
just bringing it all together.
Well, I love hearing from actually it's from the grandparents and the parents, but the grandparents who can't make it, they live away. We're in a military community as well, so that for itself is the reason why people aren't always here, or their family. They live different places, but aunts and uncles and relatives. And I love hearing from the players, the boys, that they feel like it's the NHL. Yeah, I'm not trying to public.
They go back and watch the game.
They go back and watch the game. We get a lot of views, and I think 3/4 of it is from our own players that like to watch their goals or watch their kind of errors, mistakes, whatnot. So that's been fun. And in the comments about Rod, is D to D, and he's got these different sayings.
He's a great commentator.
Yeah. So this year I did something new. I did a production of an intro, a little bit of a 20-second intro that looks like
a broadcast, you mean?
No, of
some highlights.
Well, that's the highlights. But in addition to the highlights, we've added a program intro.
Yeah.
That shows the 20-second kind of video of a cube that moves around with different hockey clips and Rod's voice in the background.
Like a Hockey Night Canada intro.
Kind of like a Hockey Night Canada intro. And I've learned it all on Google and YouTube. So I have the production, the laptop. We have 2 or 3 remote cameras. We have the goalie cam, the zoom in, so it's power play, how many minutes are left, and penalties, and so we'll keep at it.
That's good for the people that are home or shut in, or like you say, are away, or it's too cold and they don't want to go to the rink.
Yeah.
Well, and it's good for you for a hobby. for hockey because
it's a work-life balance.
busy in politics day and night. It's hard to do hobbies.
Yeah, like in the summer, I played a fair amount of golf this year, probably more than I've ever played.
Oh, good.
I get probably an improvement of 2 or 3 strokes on my game. So now not over 100. I'm under 100, usually 95, 90. So it's like you, Jack. I'm on a 13 years challenge of trying to improve. Lifetime challenge of improving. And then in the winter, I go to the hockey rink. So this weekend, we have games in Edmonton.
Oh, wow.
So now we've been.
Go to Edmonton?
I will go to Edmonton.
Not falling for that trick.
I will go to Edmonton. Yes, you did
went
go
one time.
last year.
It was fun once we got there.
Yeah. I will do. I'll do in person, but I also now have learned how to set up remotely from home.
Right.
So I can do the graphics and that from home. In fact,
Somebody sets the equipment all up and
at
puts
the
it all in,
location,
and
yeah,
there you can.
yeah, I can tap into that the camera feeds, the camera feeds, and then I'm still doing the graphics. So I did that from St. John last week or so. The game in St. John's. So in fact, I also did some for Cole St. Anne last year with on remote for their finals. Terry Gallant, who's our new technical director in studio here, and we want to thank Terry Gallant for doing that on this show. He was involved with Cole St. Anne last year. His son was on, so Terry was on location in the rink, was able to help me set up the phones, the cameras, and then I would connect in back at home, and I didn't have to travel. So the other thing, Terry, as a point of interest on hockey, he does the announcing at the Ormocto High School boys games this year. So he has a really good professional voice that adds to it. So
Bilingual too.
Yeah.
Yep. I know any tournaments that I've been to, the minor hockey tournaments and stuff, and Terry's doing some of that, announcing that the players and the parents from away, like Kent, if they're here from Kent County, appreciate having that. The translation, when penalties are announced and goals are announced, and he's does it right.
The other fun thing, but just
See him at the Montreal Forum in no time.
yes, right. The other fun thing is when parents and viewers from other teams watch that we're playing against.
Oh yes, they watch.
So they want to watch our feed so they can see the angles, the replays, scores, and most teams do have to live stream it or record it, but then some are better than others. And, a little over the top, but it's fun. And I can tell people we don't really do much that's it's either all or nothing for us. And Carr boys, we're usually not in stuff for half measures. So. I said, if I could get 10 votes, I want 20 votes at election time. But, that's the same way with our hockey night and Ormocto coverage. Anyway,
No, that's great. That's good. Yeah, great to have some pastime stuff.
Yeah, got to have a hobby.
it is.
Got to have some hobbies away from work. I
Yeah,
curl on Mondays too.
Yeah, our wives really appreciate the extra hobbies that
I think so.
I think,
Yeah,
I mean,
gets us out.
work
But you can't just be sitting home on the couch all the time doing things.
no,
You got to be out. You got to be out doing stuff.
interacting with people.
You just do, and I mean that's our thing. We have to interacting with people and social butterflies.
Cold curling on Monday nights.
Curling in my men's league on Monday night. Brandon plays on my team. Rod plays on my team too.
Right.
And another friend of ours, Colby McDonald, and we've been doing Monday nights in Ormocto for probably 10 years since our boys got out of minor hockey.
Yeah, all it is
They all
played together.
Stopped playing at the same time. Kevin Ring used to be with us before Brandon came, but Kev moved to Saskatchewan. So we needed something to do, the four of us, because we were all integrally involved with minor hockey, minor baseball, and when the kids got too old to play, we
Had to find
took
something
up
else.
curling for fun, and it's been a fun time. The Kev moved away, and Brandon joined our team, so...
Of course, Ormocto curling, Gage curling is home to some
James Gratt.
big names in curling. Mm-hmm. So maybe there's aspirations there.
No, my time is gone.
But yeah, there's
my window long ago.
It's a great club though for players of notary.
Yeah, and it's well run, well organized, well run, well managed, well maintained. The leagues are really well done, and I think there's 18 teams in the men's league on Monday night, so that's quite a number.
You know what I think would be fun for our Carr Brothers show, and I want to hear from the viewers that are watching. Do you not think it might be fun to take? Because I'm not the person involved here. I could bring the camera and watch and show Jeff do some curling, and I could go out to the rink in Tri-County with my broadcasting experience.
Right.
Now I could do some video and some shots of Jack and Jeff playing hockey, and
Put it up on the page.
put a mic on them, and we'll make it part of the next show, or we'll make it part of the live broadcast. Oh yes, Jack said a show, not necessarily the next one.
Well,
But
we could do a post-production, so you could do maybe a 2-minute highlight type thing, so because there might be something I might not make a very good play, or
I know, but I'm told you're quite the character.
Well, it's all out in public. I mean, anybody can come and watch.
well, I'm not really a character out on ice. I don't have time to think of anything else.
No, he's on
That's
business.
what I love about hockey, guys. When I play Tuesday nights,
Yes.
and when
You don't think of anything else?
no, you can't really think. You don't. I'm thinking,
where's the puck?
especially the first 5 years. I'm thinking, how can I just stay alive and not hurt myself in this? And and so much to think about. But that's just it. You're thinking about the past. You're thinking about. There's so much to think about. People that play hockey know way more than I do of all the things you have to think about.
Yeah.
But there's a lot.
You have to focus.
Yeah.
You have to focus. Same for curling. That 1 hour or two, probably a 2-hour game. You're thinking strategy and how you're going to make the next shot, and you're just the other stresses in your lives. They just sit to the side, and I think more people need to be doing that if they can.
It's a 1 hour break. Keeps us on social media. All that.
Maybe it's not curling or hockey. You have to pay a little money for that stuff, but maybe there's some cheaper alternatives out there. But I highly suggest it for people.
Yeah.
Get out.
Start
Get out.
something new.
Get out.
Start
Do
something new. My broadcasting. There's a lot you've got to maneuver
Yes.
at the same time. Yeah.
Right.
Click, click that.
Keep your mind fresh.
And my gosh, if you make a mistake, just like here in the
yeah.
studio, you're going to hear.
You're gonna hear
and
about
we
it.
like to hear from people.
That's right. We don't shy away from knowing. Here's some feedback.
We embrace it.
That's right. And we get feedback every week, so it's good to have the feedback. So,
Jack, maybe we'll talk about this later. We've run out of time in this segment, but the Christmas concerts. You used to host Christmas concerts.
variety shows.
You come out as Cornelius. Maybe you
that a few
didn't, but
years.
Cornelius would come. I want to know, and I think people miss Cornelius. People that don't know.
Some may remember.
People that know.
People that know. There's a lot of people because it was. Yeah, we'll talk about some of that too in the next segment.
Wouldn't it be fun if we did something
25
like that
years
now?
ago.
Yeah.
20, 25.
Wouldn't it be fun if we did something like an event or a concert or a show of some sort?
Okay, well, let's talk about the next. Okay, let's talk about that and much more in the next segment. We want to thank our viewers here on episode 127 of the Carr Brothers. We'll take a quick little pause. We'll see you when we come back. Well, hi there. Welcome back to the Carr Brothers Show, episode 127. Thank you so much. I'm Jack.
And I'm Jeff.
And I'm Jody, the third of the three Carr brothers. Well, it's great discussion that we had there at the top of the show. So we want to thank our viewers for joining and participating these last, I think we're in our 5th year now, which is quite something.
A lot of reminiscing in the last segment there. We talked about a lot of fun things that we do and possibilities of what can come.
Yeah, people, will get feedback from viewers and, and we'll talk about some topics, but they also like to know some about our backgrounds and our hobbies and things that we do.
Yeah, and it reminds me of the saying, that's great. Enough about me. What about you? What do you think about?
Yes.
Right. But also concerts or events. I mean, prior to COVID, we actually had fun. We actually had fun in different times, being invited to go to events and do the auction, the three of us, or be guest speaker at events, and we did that obviously in our role of politics as well. But it might be fun. We left the last segment talking about hosting a concert or hosting an event or a dinner, but someone had said one time, well, were you going to come back and do our auction? Well, we might be, if any organization that wants us to do that, that might be fun.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we put a call out of any organization or company that's putting on an event or of any kind, and call us up, let us know, and maybe we'll chat about being available and some ideas of how we can participate to help.
Make it fun.
Yeah, that interaction with people.
Oh yeah, it's obviously a smaller scale than if you're Elvis or you're someone on stage, but it's the adrenaline of just connecting with people is so much It's so much fun. And if you're helping a charity or a cause, then it's even more fulfilling, of course. So we've done some of those.
We can do fireside chats or just MC events or do auctions. That would be fun. Do some charity auctions over there. Make it lively and entertaining.
Yeah, for sure. Well, this week, of course, we had our Remembrance Day, November 11th, to honor our vets who died and sacrificed and gave so much for our country and for the world to have, peace here in Canada, democracy, freedom of speech, things like that. So, of course, I watched it more on TV this year. But I thought this year was a little bit different across Canada in a bit of a negative way of just not the same flavor. There was a few instances, and hopefully, and people have spoken out about it, but it's just a little bit different. And so it was.
The temperature is a little different out in the Republic, and there are different things. It is,
but specifically around Remembrance Day. So there were a few incidents. Jack, tell us again what's going around social media, what's been out in the news. Get us up to date here.
Well, one of the first things that happened that came up was in Nova Scotia. That's right, because there's an election there, but Tim Houston came out and spoke out about it, and that's sort of how it came to light. I think more across Canada, but in Nova Scotia there was a school. And the principal, usually every school has a Remembrance Day. We all grew up with a Remembrance Day. Our kids and things.
Members come,
service,
veterans come,
bring the flags, and there's some speeches and a moment of silence, and you get an explanation from the veterans that are coming about what's significant. And why.
At least in our area, it's quite large. I mean, it's big because we live in a military community, but
and we also have often current serving members, which is a big part of Remembrance Day is our veterans, those that have passed away, but also our current serving soldiers and
have kids in our schools
and basically our schools. But and a lot of times they'll be asked from the different units if they can send some soldiers in uniform to attend the Remembrance Day service. True. And sometimes the parents will come, and if they're military, they'll have their uniform on, or they'll cut. Because it's during the day. They'll get off work at mid-morning, we're going to come over to the school and be there with their children. So there's a few instances across Canada, a couple across Canada that involve schools. Well, one was in Nova Scotia.
Tell us again what happened there.
The principal, the school, a teacher said, advised the Legion that they didn't want anyone there with uniforms on. That there are some students that had come from war-torn countries, and it would be traumatic for them, and not to wear uniforms at the Remembrance Day, like their combat uniforms. I guess
their dress uniform. I guess
any military uniform.
Yeah, they didn't want any veterans or any military members to wear their uniform.
Legion members with their medals, because they're not on a battlefield like that. But anyway, but that's where this kind of
blew up.
Yeah, really? You're gonna like Tim Houston. Because they elevated it. He's the premier, and they had a statement, and they apologized and reversed it and things like that. But that was one of the things. And then there was
it was viral too. It went viral on social media.
Still going around.
I think
there was someone in a car speaking. Was it?
Yeah, some lady.
Oh yeah, that was against this decision. And well, as the lady said as you mentioned, is that a lot of our Canadian soldiers have served abroad. Of course, a lot of soldiers have sacrificed their lives in some of these countries, Afghanistan, Croatia, like all a lot of these places here, and they said it could trigger children that were in those war-torn situations, seeing soldiers. And I guess my initial response is it's because of our Canadian soldiers oftentimes why we have children and we people in our country that have come to Canada are able to come, because we saved them in the war-torn situations, or they've immigrated here for a place of freedom. And so often you see our soldiers in those places that are revered by children because they're there to bring peace and freedom. And so that should be actually embraced at these Remembrance Day services. And in terms of any trigger, yes, you want to balance the trigger and the trauma, but actually that can be turned around as a positive. Easily turned around as a positive. Because we see it as in Ormocto, CFB Gagetown, as also potentially triggering for our children.
of Canadians whose parents have been, or friends of their parents, or that are in current deployments,
War situations.
or in war situations, or have been, and have been injured by those, or have been killed by those. And so that can be triggering. So we use the opportunity in those services and the lead up to Remembrance Day to educate our children about freedom and democracy, about the sacrifice of our soldiers, the fear.
And what Remembrance Day is, where it originated from, and why we still celebrate it every year.
I really, that was some of the big highlights as a member of the legislature, going to the Remembrance Day services to learn about and to actually help to participate and bring awareness to children and in a way that they can understand.
Right.
But so that was a big controversy. Yeah, so that was one. There's a few across Canada, and there was an Ottawa principal. They took it upon themselves to change sort of the traditional agenda and had a segment that was an Arabic song was played, a Palestinian protest song that they played during the Remembrance Day ceremony. And what the teacher or the principal said, to include people of Palestinian beliefs, I guess, and that blew up. Lisa MacLeod,
an MPP, a member of the provincial legislature in Ontario. She's a longtime member of the legislature there in Ottawa. I'm originally from Nova Scotia, and she made some statements on social media about how that needed to be. Principal fired, and it's going around social media like fire, and people are sharing it. And I think for me, it just needs to boil down to understanding, number one. But when the principals, some of them make these decisions, or anybody in a leadership role for that matter, understand both sides of what the ramifications are when you make these decisions, and maybe do a little consultation with the legions and say, listen, we want to try to soften this a little bit for our newcomers. How do we do this? And if you just have that little chat beforehand, or back it up to September and start educating the kids and bringing vets in a little bit to the classrooms, and so they understand you're in a safe place here. And this is why we celebrate our safe spaces in Canada and New Brunswick. But it happens, so I'm surprised that there was only 2 that surfaced out of the whole country that turned into an issue.
It's 2 in school.
Because the flavor, like you say, that I said earlier, the temperature's changing around some of this stuff, and we're very guarded about our veterans and the sacrifices they gave. Probably, maybe us more so, because we live in that military community and we have friends that have been in those conflicts.
Stepfather is a military vet as well.
And a lot of our friends that did make it back they've not fully recovered yet.
Yeah.
So it's sensitive.
Yeah.
But to change those agendas like that and not understand what the ramifications are is just...
So those were just 2, and then I'll just say a couple others here. But there was an I mentioned that one, a Calgary mayor. She's taken some heat. She said, she addressed the crowd and said at the beginning of her speech, the rest of the speech I thought was really good. I watched the whole 6-minute speech, but at the beginning she said, many here are settlers. And that created
settlers.
So people, they were going to interpret that, because she didn't really say what she meant by that, but she said many people here are settlers, and a lot of people on social media took offense to it if they were born, raised right here in Canada, things like that. And then there was also a Remembrance Day service in Ontario where there was an actual Palestinian protest, and as a part of the audience and the crowd. And so, like you said, the temperatures has risen.
Yeah, they're getting out of the gate a little too far on that stuff, I think.
People are...
I don't think
now...
shouldn't be any space for that.
Yeah. Especially when we're dealing with our vets and a Remembrance Day, it's like, and obviously, the majority of Canadians we're a country with immigrants and as well. So, we're inclusive, we're considerate.
Trying to be.
But when it comes to our sovereignty as a Canada and what we're the principles of what we're defending, what we believe in, the sacrifices we've made across the world and continue to make, then when that comes into question by people in our own soil, then that's bordering on terrorism within. And I'm sorry, you can have opinions and you can have room to say stuff, but you're bordering on our sovereignty when you're infringing on our Remembrance Day.
It's just
services.
Just give it a break.
And
there,
if you're playing an antique, basic Canadian of some sort, if there's something going on there, then be respectful too. Respect has worked both ways, and that's a good way to word it. And I just think it starts really at the top of the top. And that's our prime minister.
Yeah,
and
right.
There's an underground.
Completely failed.
He's failed. We're heading into we're obviously in sort of federal election mode, and this is sort of a groundswell, and this is the sort of things that can tip elections even more so. We already know that of course, it's no secret the polls are very low for the Liberals, like an all-time type of low, and these are the sort of things. At the coffee shops that people are having enough of. And it starts with the Prime Minister. And if he is not getting a handle on something like
Well, it just erodes, right? Slowly erodes over time, and then once the horse is out of the barn, you can't get that horse back in.
You know, and of course, people have a right to a safe and peaceful protest. But when there's protests where Jewish people are being threatened and bullied and threatened with their lives and abused, that is not right in this country, and it's got to stop.
It does.
Burning our flags.
Stop it.
Burning the Canadian flag.
I know.
It's like, what the heck?
And so there's a movement, a groundswell, the temperature's rising, and if anything else, if the Prime Minister's not going to do anything about it, the people will do something about it at the ballot box.
It's true, and it happens, and that's what happens.
Yep.
You know, they're trying to tell the Prime Minister from within his own caucus, you're failing.
That's right.
Yeah, but he refuses to listen. Refuses to listen, which is interesting about the Prime Minister. He was in Fredericton's this week.
In Fredericton
probably
this
the
week.
first time in 7 years I've heard that he's been in New Brunswick. I don't know. Maybe I'm exaggerating. I would never exaggerate.
I think he does come for Kazoo. I've seen him in around Dieppe and different places over time. But as far as meeting in the Premier's office, I don't know when the last time was, actually, being in government for 6 years. Usually it's Dominic LeBlanc coming to Fredericton. But he was here meeting with the new Premier. Susan Holt, and they talked about a few different things according to the media. One of them, from what I can tell, was redefining a made in New Brunswick carbon tax plan or scheme was one of the things. They talked about returning some of the money they clawed back
You were very good at understanding all this. Oh, you were the minister responsible for carbon tax, trade-offs, and this and that.
Yeah.
It just goes completely over my head. Because
finally I'm ahead of them on something.
I just don't want more taxes, but now I don't know what we're paying, what we haven't.
We could take another
All
whole
I
show and
know
talk
is-
about
all
how
I
a carbon
know
tax
is
works.
A carbon tax will not reduce emissions.
No.
I'm sorry, it will not, and they've even admitted it
won't.
that it doesn't change behavior.
Well, the only way it reduces emissions is when people get so poor that they cannot afford to go to Fredericton and fill up their gas.
And those aren't the people that are burning emissions.
Right.
But what's
Those are the
happening?
people that are suffering.
Yeah.
You and I can fill up our gas tank anyway.
I know.
And we're going to keep doing it because we want to drive.
It's just
we need to
so
drive.
frustrating. But for really the Premier, and all due
Got
respect,
on a little rant there, I guess, off topic. But
all due
that's
respect-
one of the things they were here talking about.
for the Premier to, all due respect, to campaign on affordability, and then on the other hand, talk about a tax and trying to rejig. And this,
What
a tax
happens?
is a tax, and
It is.
But aren't they going to look at a cap and trade?
Well, she talked during the campaign about an Atlantic cap and trade because, but it's all up to Trudeau. You can present any plan you want. It's all up to Stephen Guilbeault and Justin Trudeau to say, yes, I will accept
They
that.
can incentivize it or
You can't do a cap and trade within the province because there's just not enough industry to trade.
yeah, you'd have to be part of.
You have to be in Atlantic. You have to be a bigger area that you can trade back and forth, right? But even then, is there enough industry in Atlantic Canada that produces enough emissions by the time our coal burning facilities are closed? Is there enough trade to happen? Like I said, we could take another whole show on this.
just on what that means. But
the idea around changing the scheme, the only way you can really change it, unless they come up with some cockamamie idea, is change the way that people get rebated on the carbon tax. Right now, we're now with
direct
this,
deposit.
Yeah, we're on.
I like the direct deposit.
We're on the
method.
federal backstop, and everybody gets a check.
and an email too.
You still pay for it at the pumps. But the problem with that scheme that I always was against is that the people that are burning the gas or paying for gas are paying the tax, but everybody gets a rebate back. And I never thought that was fair. The fairest way, if you're going to do it, and we said it's a recycling of money, if you pay it at the pump, you should get the rebate at the pump because you're the person paying the tax.
Makes sense. So then why pay the tax at the pump anyways?
Why do it at all?
It's just all so foolish. Yeah, the whole thing is the money, the time, the effort.
There's probably about $200 million a year that generates from that Ottawa gives back to us.
To the province of New Brunswick.
For programming, so for a regional development corporation, energy efficiencies, the heat pump program was paid for out of it.
Which I don't understand, that heat pump program, but in PEI they give them away, the heat pumps. I guess. But in New Brunswick they don't. Like I guess
under a certain income you can get a free heat pump.
Oh, and it's still
70,000, I think. But the backlog is so long because of the waiting list. Materials and installers are just at a premium. But
that's like they used to give incentives for baseboard heating too one time years ago.
Really?
Firewood, wood stoves, and then baseboard heaters.
$300 a year.
Now we're all getting incentives.
On that topic.
Yeah.
Of talking about rebates and stuff. I've been in contact with Lori Clark over the last couple of months, and she's interested.
Who's Lori Clark?
Lori Clark is the CEO of MB Power.
For the benefit of people that might not know.
Good point. Home. And she's interested in being a guest on here, and maybe we can talk about some of those programs and what the backlog
I think it'd be great because they can explain the 19% increase over 2 years.
Right. And how the UB comes to that decision, right?
Well, yes, she can.
Which is the Energy and Utilities Board.
Yeah,
she can tell us how they made their case.
Yeah, exactly.
Because she had to go make their case
to defend it
to the EUB, the Energy and Utilities Board.
And smart meters. How are the smart meters gouging us? Can I put solar panels on my roof and get a rebate back, or sell my power to MB Power? Is that being allowed?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So we are allowed that now. Thank goodness.
And we can have going forward. We can get an expert in to tell us about that program.
Well, how do I get solar panels so I can
get signed up?
We'll get. We've got.
Well, you don't really make a lot of money. You just reduce your own power bill over time.
But you couldn't earn. You couldn't
credit.
You couldn't
you don't
get
money
enough
back.
You couldn't get enough to get money back from MB Power.
You could put enough on. No, well, they just do it as a credit, right?
That's my point. What's a start though, Joe? I don't
have your credit.
A credit with zero. A credit without.
Zero.
So I have you don't
zero bill, but you have a non-interest loan to pay for it unless you pay for all the components up front.
So this credit though would keep accumulating on my power bill. So if I stop solar someday and want to use electricity, I could have free electricity for credit.
Sounds right. Well, we should get that confirmed.
We'll get somebody on. How about the idea of paying me for the power I'm generating?
Well, I don't think they're quite there yet.
Not with these smart meters, I suppose. They can't carry
the other thing. MB Power's how many billions of dollars in debt? They're not going to give Jody Carr $20 a month.
We got to pay that $5 billion. Where have you been? I'd put the mouse on the old trap there and get the old better energy going. But there's a good topic. But we got to take a quick break. Oh, my gosh.
Yep.
Quick little break. We'll be back right after this on the Carr Brothers. Welcome back to the Carr Brothers Show, our final segment here on episode 127. I'm Jack.
And I'm Jeff.
And I'm Jody.
So we've had a really just a mishmash of conversation, interesting chatter, and talk about things that we've experienced over time, and kind of get into a little bit of what Susan Holt is up against now, talking about her carbon tax and reinventing that again, and different things, and where are the doctors, and blah blah. And I guess how long, we all know that the shine wears off and people are paying attention, and how long does the honeymoon last? But Jody, you brought up during a couple minutes ago, you brought up the an article talking about a candidate in Nova Scotia that was giving out Tim Hortons, or one of their staffers, I guess, their campaign manager was giving out Tim Hortons gift cards for one coffee, and there was a complaint made against them.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who the Liberal Party complained to. I'm assuming Elections Nova Scotia.
You're correct.
Maybe. I don't know where else they would complain to during a campaign. But
what happened? Did they have an event? Well, what happened was they were at a Tim Hortons. So this is courtesy of CTV News. The campaign manager for a Nova Scotia PC candidate resigned after coming to light yesterday that and a complaint by the Liberal Party to Elections Nova Scotia of vote buying, bribery, and corruption. And what was happening is the candidate was in the lineup of the drive-thru, standing outside, shaking hands, introducing herself, asking them to vote for her. And the campaign worker, the Liberals say, a witness reported that a campaign worker for the PC candidate distributed gift cards on Saturday near the drive-thru entrance in Lunenburg, Nova Scotia. And the complainant says that, as I said, the candidate was on one end
the campaign staffer was on the other end of the lineup giving out Tim Horton gift cards for $2 worth $2.07, the value of a medium coffee, and basically they spent a total of $51.75 on this afternoon of shaking hands. And BC said, well, it's like hosting an event and giving coffee and people can meet the candidate. And the Liberals are saying this proves that the PC Houston government are corrupt and they don't follow the rules. So there's a complaint with Elections Nova Scotia, and that'll be dealt with. The campaign manager resigned, and then Tim Houston basically said, I think it has something to do with giving out coffee. We'll see what Elections Nova Scotia comes back with. Okay, so Elections Nova Scotia hasn't made the ruling, but the campaign manager stepped down anyway. Yeah. Obviously, to doing those things is just to soften up, put water on the whole issue, and hope that it'll
lack of
die down. Yeah,
poor judgment.
So that was a good move by the campaign manager, I believe, because it's distracting to the whole party, and that's what he said. He said, "I'm sincerely sorry that my actions have caused a distraction to a candidate that I have so much respect." Yeah. I mean, we've all had campaign managers and things like that, and
that's why you have to pick the right campaign manager. But they made a mistake there.
Yeah, it doesn't look good.
It doesn't look good, and some would say, well, it's only $50 worth of coffee, and it was, in an effort to meet the candidate. I don't compare it to just a regular event that the candidate would be hosting, because they're basically soliciting people they really don't know in the drive-thru.
They didn't come there for that.
They didn't come there for free coffee from the candidate. If they were coming to
a breakfast
that the candidate was hosting or something like that, and they were there, well, rather you're going to give them free coffee at that event. So it does. Where do you draw the line on that? It was just a mistake made. I wouldn't say it explains anything to do with corruption.
Well, I think that's going a little too far. That's campaigning, of course. Yeah, you have a little window there, and then the Liberal Party.
It's a really nifty idea.
It's a pretty good idea.
Well, overall thought out about the different implications.
Stand in the line and shake hands and wave at people and don't get.
Well, yeah, and I'm not surprised, but I'm kind of surprised that Tim Hortons wouldn't even allow it. Maybe they didn't ask for permission, which sometimes.
I guess there's a lot more to it that we probably don't really actually know, but the person resigned, so it must have looked as bad as we think it looks.
But there you go. You can have an issue like that in the middle of a campaign, and that can kind of cause a distraction. Cause the party then has to focus on that, how you got to deal with that, rather than the message of the day. And it can happen in any campaign. One of the big distractions in the New Brunswick election most recently was the TikTok video from the candidate in St. John. A past
TikTok video,
TikTok video from previously.
Yep.
And that took a couple of days of airspace. And
seemed to, it took a lot of space. I mean, in that case, they just ignored it and shrugged it off as not that big of a deal. And from what I watched on social media and some of the commenting, there were a large group of people that didn't think it was that big of a deal, and they're most over on the left. Didn't really think it was that big of a deal.
And didn't really support Higgs anyways, but they thought it was,
this isn't a trigger for me at all. It was, and I think where it really had an impact was on the conservative, the center right.
Well, that would be
because we don't. That's just not what we support, type of thing, right?
Yeah.
So that was interesting. But it was a distraction for a few days, and
distractions and elections.
They ignored it. They ignored it. I don't know if that played in
New Brunswick
of why she lost.
Yeah, you don't. Not sure.
I don't know.
People don't know.
But in the Nova Scotia instance with the Tim cards, they dealt with that pretty darn quick, I think, which was the right thing to do. You have to deal with it. You can't be going. Tim Houston can't be going to the every announcement from here on out, having to explain it. What are you going to do about it? And and just to say, well, we're going to wait for Elections Nova Scotia to make a ruling. They may never make one for a year.
Could be 6 months. You're right, 6 months, a year before.
So they dealt with it right away. So that gives that candidate the best chance to recuperate and recover and move on through. I don't know the riding at all, so I don't know what their base is like, if they're an incumbent or not or whatever, but. Stuff happens. Mistakes happens during campaigns.
Election day.
How do you deal with them? 28th or 29th of November, I think. So, interesting, yeah. So, it happens, but, it's not the same as hosting an event where people can come to see you and give them free coffee or donuts or whatever. It's a little different. You're out publicly soliciting to strangers.
Yeah.
And we got into, not quite the same, but in the election rule, I'm going to get off track a little bit, but when you're boosting social media, you're not allowed to advertise on election day, right? You're not allowed. And the day before is a blackout too on the Sunday.
Can't remember exactly. It's midnight.
But on election day, and people do Facebook videos all the time,
right,
to promote. And as long as you're promoting it to
your followers
or whoever's
who requested to follow,
right? You have it's not soliciting strangers, but as soon as you boost a video, because I boosted one by mistake and didn't realize.
Yeah.
On I don't know what election.
I didn't know, Mr. Speaker.
2018.
2018, I think, or 2021. I can't remember either.
Yeah, we were sitting in the Marwood parking lot.
Which goes to friends. Which goes to.
We boosted it. You can boost it. You can pay money, and that goes to everybody in the region, right? It's just and elections in Brunswick called me like right away. They got a complaint.
It goes
called me right away. And I was like, it goes to just everybody.
Friends. This was a boost, though.
It's a boost,
but like a radio broadcast. TV
no, it goes to people that don't follow your friends.
Yeah. No, okay.
It's a sponsored by at the top.
Oh,
not even thinking.
So it is an ad.
Because we've been boosting our videos all along, and did it that day and didn't even think about that.
And called right away. And
they called right away. They got a complaint for one of the People's Alliance members, and they called right away. And they're like, "You need to take that down." I was like, "Why?" And Jack said, "Yeah, let's just delete it." So we did.
Yeah. Was it the day before the election?
I think it was election day or something. And I just probably boosted it on my own. Nobody even knew. Yeah.
And that's how something like that, right?
That's how it happens.
But you responded quickly.
We just
had it dealt with.
I didn't need to argue over it. It was like, you know what, they made the call. Let's just take it down.
And we've done those little things like, a sign is supposed to be within 100 meters of the polling to past 100 meters of the door, but it's 50 meters. It's too close, so you should move it back. Okay, so there's ways to deal with that. We would often, or you would, that's my campaign manager. You would go, we'd talk about it, and then you'd talk to like Blake Kennedy or whoever the returning officer was, and then they'd explain and deal with it. And
a lot of times the constables, in that instance, a lot of the constables at those buildings or polling stations, they don't understand what the actual rule is. They think it needs to be from the property, the distance, but it's not. It's the physical building.
Yeah.
It has to be 100 feet, I think is what it was, from the building, or 100 meters or something.
Well, that's why the campaign...
You have to know the rules.
The campaign, you're right. Know the rules, know the legislation. The campaign manager or a designate, that's their role, is to know that Elections Act inside and out.
Or have somebody on speed dial you can call and say, can you interpret this for me?
And a lot of times
we did too.
And a lot of times you have one designated person, so that when the calls come in or a complaint or a returning officer, okay, that's just dealt with that person, so you don't have mixed. But they know what the rules are, whether it's so many from the building or if it's from the property line. So in New Brunswick, they seem to have really improved the voting process, or their vote collection, or the counting.
Oh, yeah.
And also the voters list.
The reporting.
When I run in to vote, I talk to the returning officer in line, and just had a lot of conversation about the voters list and how it's integrated across the province now through technology, which makes sense. Should have been done a long time ago. But if you vote in one location in New Brunswick at a returning office, it automatically takes you off the voters list.
Right away.
Before, it was just each returning office had their own separated.
That was an issue for my first election when tabulators were first used.
Well, it's not even the tab. I jumped over issues, but it was really the integrated voters list to tracking who voted. Anyway, awesome. Yeah. Well, there's so many other topics. From this, we could spur off another probably 20 topics from this show. We could. With that, though, we got a jam-packed episode in, so we want to thank our viewers for watching on all of the channels that we're on, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time. Good night.
That's right. Good night. Go Blues.
Good night.